Do you find yourself spinning your wheels while you're sitting at your computer to build your business? Do you have limited time to actually build your business right now? Maybe you've got a ton going on. Perhaps you work for somebody else. Perhaps you have a spouse, kids, family, other commitments other than just centering on your business. Are you one of those people that right now has a lot of pressure on your shoulders to be able to get the job done, build the business, get it off the ground, and actually make some revenue? If that's you, then you're probably like a lot of us out there building our businesses. And today in this episode of the Daily Dose of Awesome, I'm going to be giving you some insight into the myth, the absolute joke of a lie behind the concept of time management. More importantly, what you can actually do beginning right here, right now, today to get more done, get better results, and actually get where you want to get sooner in your business and your life. Hello, my friends. JT DeBolt with you today for the Elite Marketing Pro Daily Dose of Awesome, your 15 minutes of inspiration, education, and motivation to help you get your day started off right. I'd love to welcome you here by saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time it is for you, no matter where you might be tuning in from on the Big Blue Marble. Thanks for joining us here each and every single Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Always a privilege and an honor to come at you. And as you're coming out here, let me know where you are tuning in from on the Big Blue Marble. Give me a big shout out. Let me know who you are, where you're coming in from. What's up, Michelle, Felicia? Good to see you. Samra is back in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Michael coming in from Ukaipa. Got some folks coming in. Tom Dealey's in Acton, California. You guys are traveling a lot, Tom. Good to see you, my friend. Jan Fansler's in the house. Good to see you, Jan. I appreciate you as always. Okay, so listen. You've likely heard this from every single business expert, self-help guru, and all the wannabes in between, everybody who proclaims themselves or is trying to build themselves up to be one of those internet personalities with all the answers and all the solutions, right? Got to be careful about those folks and look at their actual results and see if they can actually guide you to them. But they're talking to you about time management. And the reason that they like to share time management with you is because it's just like cotton candy. Everybody or most people love cotton candy. I personally can't stand the stuff, but that stuff sells out like crazy. The reason being is because it's sweet, it's easy to eat, and there's nothing more to it really than that. Time management's kind of one of those things. People pass it around like candy at a frickin' parade. So you got to be careful about that stuff. But just like cotton candy, the concept of time management has absolutely positively no nutritional value. That's what I'm going to tell you right here, right now. And I realize that there's a lot of people out there that are obsessed with this concept of time management. But let's get down to the scientific fact. You cannot manage time. It's a scientific fact. Time is what we call a constant. It's constantly moving. You can't stop it. You can't slow it down. You can't speed it up. You can't rewind it. Doesn't matter how rich you are. You can't buy it, bank it, and put it away. It doesn't matter how good looking you are. It doesn't matter how lucky you are. It doesn't matter how you were born, where you were born. It doesn't matter what you got in your back pocket or what you don't have in your back pocket. The simple fact of the matter is we all have the exact same 24 hours in a day. And I remember this many years ago, hearing this. Somebody came out and they were talking about, there was an actual coffee mug. I found the picture online. I used to use it in webinars and things like that because it was so powerful. The coffee mug said, you have the exact same 24 hours as Beyonce. And that was a reference to Beyonce's insane work ethic. She's extremely disciplined, extremely structured. And we're going to talk about that here in just 2 seconds. But I want you to really think about this for just a minute. If you've ever heard, hey, you've got to be good at time management, or maybe you're operating under the assumption or the mindset, the belief system that you have to be good at time management in order to be successful, especially in business. I want you to give me a 1 in the chat box. I want to just know if you've ever heard that, or if you still operate under that assumption. Go ahead and put that in the chat box. What's up, Mike? Good to see you, my friend. Say hello to Carla for me, my friend. I appreciate both you guys and miss you both. Floyd Hunt's in the house. Floyd Lunt, rather, is in the house. Good to see you, Floyd. If you guys have been sort of indoctrinated under this concept that time management is even possible, let alone important for you to be successful in business, go ahead and type a 1 in the chat box. The flood of ones coming in. Awesome. So here's the simple reality, and I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys permission, not that you need my permission for anything, but you have my permission to go ahead and forget everything you've ever heard about time management. You can't manage time. Now, There's a reason for me saying this. And the reason I'm standing on the throttle with this concept this morning is because it's very important that you understand that there's a danger. There's an actual, as far as I'm concerned, it's a very a potentially dangerous thing for us to operate under, is this concept that we can actually manage time. Because if we do that, then we take the focus off the single most important aspect of our success, and that is what we can manage. So if you think about, hey, I've got to manage my time, I don't have enough time, all of a sudden, if you've had those thoughts where you say, I don't have enough time, the simple reality is you do. You do have enough time. Now, you may not have as much time as you'd like to have, ideally speaking, or maybe even for you to say, hey, ideally, I would love to have more time. You may be thinking to yourself that that amount of time would be ideal. Here's the beautiful reality, and I'll tell you a very real story that happened to me 10 years ago here in just a second. The simple reality is that you have as much time as you need. The real challenge is, how are you using it right now? That's the question that you have to be asking yourself. Basically, think of it like this. It's like a test. Whether you've taken a driver's test, or any of my fellow aviators out there know what a check ride is, you go through a check ride. The test is there to test your ability to handle what you are about to be given. Okay, so sometimes we get crunched for time, and it's really just a test. It's a test to see how well we manage ourselves, and that's really what's important. You can't manage time, but you absolutely positively can manage yourself. Now, I actually got into a debate with an online guru, a self-proclaimed guru. This guy's one of those personal development dudes out there that's selling his products to get people to buy so that they can be more successful, more purposeful, more on point. And really, the fact of the matter is that what he's selling is the same crap that's been shelled for years and years and years. You can read any book you want online. You can talk to, any self-help guru you want. They're all going to be talking to you about time management. What they're missing is the single most important point. And that is what you can control. You can't control time, but you can control how you personally behave. And that's the single most important thing. That's what we're going to focus on today. I'll give you a very real world example. I got out of the U.S. Navy on September 30th, 2008. On October 1st, 2008, I woke up to the horrific realization that I was no longer employed. Now, you might be saying to yourself, JT, that sounds like a dream come true. I cannot wait to have my day like that. Well, here's the thing. In the last 10 years and 3 days, I guess, I haven't had a boss. I haven't had a job. Haven't held a job in 10 years. And that's because I got rid of this myth, this obsession, this ridiculous notion of time management. In the U.S. Navy, you have a ton of discipline and structure on your day. I mean, we knew exactly where we were going to be from 4 o'clock in the morning until we went to bed at night. We knew exactly what we had to do. We knew who we had to answer to and who we were going to be working with. And the beautiful thing about that is it works. A lot of times people think, well, I don't want that militant lifestyle. I don't want to have to be so structured. But here's the reality. Whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're an employee, you still have the same 24 hours in a day. The difference is when you work for yourself, you have nobody else holding you accountable, right? You don't have that boss that's telling you you have to be at work at a certain time. You don't have that boss that's telling you you have to hit certain quotas by a certain point in the year. Actually, you do have a boss. It's called you. And if that boss called you isn't the toughest boss you've ever had, then perhaps it's time to relook at how you're managing yourself, or more importantly, leading yourself. You see, it's not about time management, my friends. It's about self-leadership. It's about being able to stand up every single morning, get your feet on the ground, jump out of bed with that sense of purpose. No matter how much time you have to work, whether it's 15 hours or 15 minutes on your business, you can be very effective. Now, one common question I get, by the way, if this is working for you, if this is making sense to you, give me a 2 in the chat box. If what I've just said to you makes sense, where, listen, you can't manage time, but you can certainly manage yourself. And if we obsess over and focus over managing something that is completely out of our control, i.e. time, then we're wasting our energy and ironically wasting our time. If you get that, give me a 2 in the chat box if you understand that it's really about self-management, more importantly, self-leadership. If that resonates with you, give me a shout out here. Hey, what's up, Debbie? Debbie, good to see you. Mark in the house. Chris Adams, what's happening? Cool to see a lot of people dialing 2 in here. Okay, cool. Now listen, this should give you a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of, oh, thank God, there's a weight off my shoulder, right? Because now all we have to do is focus on ourselves. Or this might actually give you a sense of, oh my gosh, now the real work begins, right? Like the real responsibility is for myself. And that's cool, man, because that's where we want to be. We want to actually be in a place where we're focusing on the right things, right? So I see a lot of 2s in the chat box. That's very cool. My boss kicks my tail all day long. And that's me, says Tom. That's beautiful. I love that. Cool, man. All right. So lots of awesome comments, lots of 2s coming in here. So appreciate each and every single one of you. Now let's talk about what's really important. When we talk about self-leadership, and specifically in the realm of this concept of time management, what we oftentimes think about is, well, I've got to get stuff done, right? So JT, I have a limited amount of time to work. I've got a limited amount of space in my calendar to be able to get things done. How do I go about doing this? The first and foremost thing we have to get off the table, besides the concept of time management, is productivity. You've probably heard this 1,000 times, especially if you've ever been an employee or worked for somebody else. Your employer, your boss, is answering to the stakeholders of that company, whoever they might be. They might actually be shareholders. They might be the CEO if you don't answer directly to that person, whomever that person may be. They want productivity. Now, here's the deal. I get the concept of productivity, but it's a very old age. It's a very sort of antiquated way of going about life, okay? Back in the Industrial Revolution, we wanted people to produce. We wanted to put a product on a conveyor belt and push it out the front door so that we could sell it to somebody, correct? But that's not the way we operate anymore. Those days are gone. In fact, what you don't want to do is be productive. Because now what happens, especially this day and age, is it's misunderstood as busy. Busy is misunderstood as productivity. So what do? We open up our email inbox for very first thing because we want to prove to people, hey, that we're on point. So we're going to answer the email first thing in the morning. Or the instant we get a text, we're going to answer that text. And all of a sudden we go from an email to a text to answering our freaking private inboxes. And all of a sudden we're busy. But are we getting anything done? The answer is no. And so the whole idea is, hey, I'm trying to be productive. I'm doing my stuff. And we tell our spouse, right? Our spouse is like, hey, where's the money coming from? We put all this investment into the business. When are we going to start making some freaking cheddar here, baby? And the answer is, hey, I've been busy. I've been productive all day. I haven't been surfing Facebook. I haven't been looking at, all this other crap. I've been working on my stuff. The question is, are you being productive or are you being effective? Now, here's where the difference is. If we put the focus and the emphasis on being effective as opposed to being productive, then everything changes. So what's the difference and how do we make that shift more importantly? The difference between productivity and effectiveness is productivity is busy work. We're just doing stuff for the fact of trying to pump out a product. Hey, I put out my Facebook ad. I put out my Facebook post. I did all this stuff. The question is, are you getting to where you want to be? Is it doing what you intended it to do? Now listen, for those of you who have attended the Fast Track workshops, you know that we talk about IBR, intention, behavior, result. And this is something that was taught to us by our mentors, the mentors, Blair and Melissa Dunkley. We talk about this quite a bit, especially when I talk about focus, usually on day one. I will actually teach this. But the idea is this, is that you have a very clear result that you're shooting at. And my challenge to each and every single one of you here today, October 3rd, 2018, is to come up with a target that you can hit 30 days from now. Now, 30 days from now is what? It's going to be November 2nd or 3rd, because if it's 31 days, then you got to subtract 1 day, whatever. The 2nd or 3rd of November, all right? You pick whichever one of those days works best for you. But there's the target. Figure out a target that you want to hit, a result you want to get in your business. Don't worry about, hey, I want to try to lose weight or I want to try to reach out to this many people. I'm talking about a tangible result that you could get in the next 30 days in your business. All right, now think about what that is. Think about it. And if you want to put, by the way, hey, listen, if you're clear enough with it right now, put it into the chat box. Because this might help other people get clear, right? So we can all work together. That's what this is about. Again, it's not about being productive. It's about being effective. And so if we sit here and we're going to invest this time in each other, let's do it and share as much as we can. Chris Adams says IBR. Chris knows what we're talking about. Angeline says, so true. If you've got a target or a result you're shooting at in the next 30 days, go ahead and add it to the chat box. Share it with us here. I'll see if I can get this going. For some reason, I think my comments have frozen for just temporarily. That's cool. We'll keep rolling here. The whole point that I want you to think about is what's the result that you're working at? The next thing is what's the intention behind the result? Meaning, what's driving you? What's the emotional driver for you to actually put the effort and the work into doing this thing? All right. So if you've got some folks out, if somebody says, hey, I want to get my first AMF sale. Okay, awesome. What is the drive behind that? What is driving you to get that first AMF sale? Maybe you say to yourself, listen, I just want to help somebody. I was in that place, and when I read AMF, it completely changed the way I looked at business, and it put me on the path to entrepreneurship. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you might say to yourself, listen, it's something that's so simple, anybody could jump in and do this. It's a great ignition. It's a great fire starter for them. Whatever that thing is for you, get very clear on it. Samra says, have my funnel done for my MLM. Okay, awesome. So Samra would, if I was sitting here working with her one-on-one, I'd ask her, okay, so what's driving you to do that? And she would give hopefully a very clear and personal reason or set of reasons for how that's so important to her and what the point is to her having that funnel built, right? The next thing we have to do, so now we have the intention for what's driving us to do it. We have the result that we're shooting at. Now we have to have all those individual little behaviors that we do on a daily basis that drive us to it. Now listen, when we're operating from a place of intention, okay, when we're operating from a place of purpose-based, purpose-backed behaviors on a daily basis, then guess what happens? We start to get closer to that result, and we get away from being productive and just doing busy crap for the sake of doing it, and actually start doing stuff that matters. That's called being effective, okay? So when we break away and get rid of these chains that have been tying us down, because everybody in the status quo says you got to be productive. Screw that. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, a professional entrepreneur, stop thinking and acting like the status quo. Everybody wants you to be productive. Maybe flip the script just a little bit. Think about it differently. Now it's time to be effective. Now here's the deal though. There's one cautionary tale that I want to talk to you about that's going to be might even right now be holding you back from your happiness. Okay. So be very careful about this. If right now you're building your business and you're finding yourself more stressed out than happy, if you're not enjoying yourself, if you're not at least having a little bit of fun with this, I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this one thing could possibly be the cause for that, or at least a partial cause or part of the cause for your unhappiness, your stress, your anxiety, your angst, anything that's going on. If it's you building your business and you're not at least having an element of fun with it, because let's face it, shouldn't you be having some fun? I mean, just think about this for 2 seconds. There are a ton of people right now who are stuck. They're working in a cubicle. They're out in traffic. They're going to and from. They work for somebody who they don't necessarily love or agree with or align with, right? And you might be saying, dude, you're talking my language. That's me. But here's the difference between you and everybody else. You're actually doing something about it. That's pretty cool, man. You should celebrate that. You should be proud of that. You should at least take a moment to step back and go, this is freaking cool. I mean, yeah, right now your current situation may not be in alignment with where you're going. You know, you may say, hey, like, dude, my future is totally different from my current present, right? And that's awesome, because right now you have a result that you're shooting at, right? You're going, hey, I want to be here in 6 months, or maybe just in 30 days, I want to be here, but right now I'm here. Well, guess what? If we just do those behaviors, pretty soon we're going to collide with our destiny. That's the beautiful part about this, my friends, all right? And that's the thing I want you to get close with. That's the thing I want you to get near and dear to, is to understand that even though right now you might be doing stuff you hate, you might be doing things you suck at, you might not be having a ton of fun with it, you are at least on the path. And that says a lot more about your character and your commitment and your vision than anything else. Don't worry about the results. Be clear on what the results are. Be clear on what it is you want to achieve, but more importantly, don't kill yourself over the fact that you're not there. And this brings me to that point that I was just talking about a moment ago with this concept of not being very happy. A lot of times we feel like we have to have this thing called work-life balance, where everything has to be perfectly balanced, right? Just like the scales of justice. Well, if it's a little bit out of balance, then it's not fair. Or if it's a little bit too balanced, then all of a sudden I'm taking more than my fair share. Guess what? There is no such thing as work-life balance. It's another BS myth, just like time management. You're never going to be balanced. Except for one case, except for in one way, I can tell you right now that you will actually have balance. You guys want to know what it is? If you want to know what it is, let me know in the chat box. I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about, how you can actually achieve balance in your life. It's not what you think. It's crazy, but it's not what you think. Here's the thing I need you to understand. You're going to work your tail off. There are going to be times where you're going to be so out of balance, meaning you're going to come home from work and you're going to kiss your kids on the head and you're going to kiss your spouse and say, I love you, honey, but now I have to get back to work. And you're going to get to work because you only have this small window of time to build your business. And it's going to feel like crap. You're going to think to yourself, I'm the worst person ever. I'm the worst parent, I'm the worst spouse, the worst friend, the worst partner, the worst roommate, whatever it is. And you're going to start beating yourself up and feeding yourself a big line of crap. And it's all false because you're not. You're an amazing human being. You're courageous. You're strong. You're doing something that most people won't do, right? Because you're freaking committed to it. And that's pretty badass. And you're going to be slightly out of balance. It's the way life is. But it's just like anything else. Once you get the ball rolling, then it starts to pick up momentum. It's a little bit like a snowball, okay? So you start off with this packed up little, like ball about the size of my fist. You roll it down the hill. Initially, it's small. It's got nothing. And you're going to have to push it. It's not going to roll by itself. Even if it's a steep hill, it's probably not going to roll by itself. But then it starts to pick up a little bit more mass, right? And then it starts to roll on its own. And you may say to yourself, I want it to roll a little bit faster. So you give it just a little bit more energy. You shove it just a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, gravity takes over. And all of a sudden, momentum builds. And all of a sudden, the thing takes off. And now you're putting less work into it and it's actually picking up steam and picking up mass. And you think to yourself, it couldn't possibly be this easy. How the heck is it that now all of a sudden I have an ad that's crushing? How is it possible that somebody like Brandy Shaver has an ad that's been running for like 2 or 3 years and still to this day makes her money? And she doesn't do anything. It's just running. It's just out there. People are sharing it and she's still making money with it. Does that seem fair? It doesn't matter if it's fair or not. That's not the point. The point is that's how it works. She put the work in early, the heavy lifting early when it sucked, when there were no results, when nobody was paying attention to her, when she wasn't making money, when her husband was probably going, hey, what the heck? We're dumping a lot of money into this hole and not getting anything back from it. And now she's making money without even thinking about it. She doesn't even have to show up. Same thing can happen for you. It's the exact same thing. But here's the thing. There's no such thing as balance because sometimes you're going to work a ton over here and not get much back. And then all of a sudden you're going to get a ton back without doing a whole bunch of work because you did it in the front end of the thing. And that's the important point. So if you're unhappy, if you're obsessed with these things, if you're saying, man, I got to manage my time better, I got to be more productive, guess what? Your focus is probably in the wrong place. Instead, put your focus on this. Stop focusing on time management and start focusing on personal leadership. Instead of focusing on productivity, focus on being effective. And more importantly, drop this obsession over work-life balance. If this makes sense to you guys, show me in the chat box. Give me a 5. Give me a high 5. Let's do it that way. That's awesome. A high 5 would demonstrate to me that you guys are getting this. Yes, it's fair because she busted her behind to get that ad done, started just like we are. Go Brandy, says Jan. Absolutely. You got that. See, that happens at 3 a.m. Tom says when I wake up at 3 a.m. Yeah, it happens all the time. So, by the way, let me answer this one. This is another question I get quite a bit is what's the best time for me to work my business? By the way, I've heard this question in different varieties. Some people will say, hey, what's the best time to run a Facebook ad? What's the best time to do a Facebook Live? When should I do this? What days are better? Here's the answer. Any day, anytime that you can do it. Yes, even Tom at 3 a.m. Because here's the simple reality. Somebody somewhere, whether we want to admit it or not, or whether we like it or not, is paying attention at 3 a.m. on Facebook. Now, are they your target audience? Maybe, maybe not. But here's the reality, and here's the thing that I want you to know. Anything is better than zero. Don't be perfect, just be awesome. If we obsess over perfection, if we obsess over dotting the I's and crossing the T's, we might be dotting the I's and crossing the T's on a word that's misspelled anyway, so who cares? Just get it out there. The whole point is this, is that what's the best time to build the business? The best time is any time you can put focused effort into being effective, not productive. Anytime you can put focused effort into being awesome, not perfect. That is the best time to build your business. It's not about managing time, my friends. Don't listen to that crap anymore. It's not true. Manage yourself. If all you've got is an hour a day to build your business, you've got more than most people. And the story I was about to tell you, when I got out of the Navy 10 years ago, October 1st, 10 years ago, was my first day of not having a job, not having an employer. I literally freaked. I woke up and I thought, man, there's no structure to my life anymore. What am I going to do here? And I started to freak out. And I was like, my wife said to me, you have all day to build your business. Like, imagine what you can do. You used to build your business. This is true. I used to go, we would fly a mission and we would land to get fuel. And I would go into the pilot lounge, flip out my phone, turn on my phone, and start calling leads. I only had 15 or 20 minutes at most. So I would go in there, I would call these leads, I'd be cold calling people, I'd be calling leads, whatever it took to build my business. Then I would shut it down, go sign the fuel report, go look at the weather, get back in the plane, kick the tires, light the fires, and get the hell out, right? And I would do this over and over again. I was working 70 hours a week, but I was putting almost 40 hours into my business. Anytime I could squeeze those hours out of the calendar. Not 40 hours in a week, but 40 hours probably in a month, right? I was squeezing those hours anywhere I could find them. I didn't care. I'd call people during dinner. I'd call them first thing in the morning. It didn't matter to me, but I was very organized, very structured in how I did it. And the only point I'm trying to make to you is this, is that all of a sudden now, October 1st, 2008, I've got no restrictions on my time. Do you think I got a ton of stuff done because now all of a sudden I had no restrictions on my time? Actually, that's not how it works. Because if right now you had nothing but time, you would likely, if you didn't have structure and a schedule to it, you would likely find ways to piss that time away. Not because you're lazy and not because you don't care, but it's called Parkinson's rule, or it's called Parkinson's rule or Parkinson's, I got to look that up. But anyway, basically it's a law of physics or a law of time. And it's actually proven, it's a scientific thing, where any open block of time will get filled. Just look at your calendar right now. I mean, I could tell you right now, if I showed you my calendar, there's a few blocks in my time where I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to go do this. Well, guess what? If I don't actually block those times out, guess what's going to happen? Somebody's going to call me, somebody's going to email me, somebody's going to text me, and all of a sudden I'm going to be busy. That's how it works. So it's not about time management. It's about managing yourself. Set your schedule. Be disciplined. Have structure. Structure is cool. Structure is sexy. Don't listen to what everybody else tells you. Don't listen to these wannabe entrepreneurs that go, hey man, I don't need schedules and structure. If that was the case, I'd just have a boss. Guess what, dude? You do have a boss. It's called you, man. So it's treat yourself with that respect. Honor yourself, honor your dream, honor your vision by showing up with that discipline, that structure. And guess what? You'll have more than enough time to goof off, more than enough time to play with your kids, more than enough time to chase your passions and your hobbies and the things you want to do, because you'll have built a business that's running and clicking and humming like a well-oiled machine. And that's not only what's possible for you, it's what you deserve. So get after it. Make it happen today and every single day. My friends, if this worked for you, if this message landed for you, give me a 7. I don't know. I can't remember all the numbers I've been given. I see some high fives in here, so I got to figure out that I probably said 5 at some point. I'm on fire, so I don't even think about this, right? Samra says Parkinson's phenomenon. Yeah, something like that. I think that's right, Samra. I'm not quite sure. If you look it up, it's like Parkinson's law or Parkinson's something. It has something to do with time. If you Google that, you'll find it. I should have been more prepared for that. I apologize. Anyway, listen. Go out there. It's Wednesday. Most people with an employee mindset are calling it hump day. I think it's an amazing day. It's leverage day. It's the day when you could kick it in the ass and make the second half of the week even better than the first half. Take advantage of the fact that there's people out there that are sucking it. They're totally having a rough time. You could be the person that brings them that hope, that brings them that message, that brings them that fire that they might be lacking and desperately want and need in their life right now. So go out there and don't be productive, be effective. Don't go out there and try to manage time, but rather lead yourself and lead others. All right, my friends, I love you. I appreciate you. It's been a pleasure and an honor. We'll be having another amazing mentor coming at you again tomorrow at this exact same time. So make sure you set it in your calendar. You put it in your schedule to join us here every single Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And remember, no matter what course you fly in life, fly high, fly fast, and fly far. We'll see you very soon.